Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video, we're going to be doing Bonnie testing in the Immortal squad, Thalassa Ravaged run, to see whether she actually is an upgrade compared to the previous best team. As for the previous best team, there are basically two versions of them. One is the one you see here, where I got a bit over 117 billion. With Scarlet and Viperian, but another team which has also gotten up to like 120 billion, not for me but for other people, has been Nero rather than Scarlet. So Scarlet is not really needed. Now as of today, there has been some Bonnie team testing and they're getting pretty good scores, but the highest I've seen is 118 billion. So basically what you're going to do is replace Viperian for Bonnie in that slot, and so it will increase Talien's damage by a bit because of the Supreme Plus skill of Bonnie, but Bonnie's own damage is kind of low, and so like for example, Viperian would deal usually more damage than Bonnie. So that's kind of the trade-off. Basically, you do not need Bonnie. She's not like a must-have hero. She might be able to slightly improve your score for this team, but I don't think by that much. Okay, so the team formation that people have been trying has been with the frontline spell. I'm going to try the two different team formations right now, and we're going to do a lot of testing today, basically, even the old formations, not just the Bonnie teams. And Scarlita on the buff tile with the frontline spell. This was the team that people tried first of all. For team number 2, it is going to be the Carolina on the buff tile with resonating spells, CC on the other buff tile. Hodgkin is the best third hero to run in this team. If you don't have Hodgkin, your next best replacement would be Igor, if you have Igor built. Otherwise, you could even run, for example, Salazar, Nero, even Thorin if you had him left over here. Those are basically the teams. Okay, so let's take a look at the team number 1 and see how well Bonnie is going to do. So Bonnie is here for two main reasons. She has damage per second and kind of high damage multipliers on her abilities, but the thing is she's an AoE damage dealer, and those heroes will not get the most value into bosses because you only have one enemy target. Like AoE damage dealers do better in AFK stages, they do better even in battle drills when you have like 5 enemies, or of course PvP. But the other advantage of Bonnie is that Supreme Plus, she will increase the damage dealt from magical damage dealers by 20% from the ultimate, which is going to increase Talien's damage by a lot because a lot of her damage comes from her ultimate, and that is a pretty useful kind of damage amplification thing that she has. So 64 billion so far, 20 seconds left. I mean, things are looking pretty good. I think the highest I've seen for Immortal Squad Team 1, I think people have gotten up to 69 or maybe even 70 billion on Team 1. We're going to get 68 billion, which is not bad at all either. That is a good score, because if we could get even 50 billion on Team 2, then we would be able to get 118 billion and get a new record. But I am expecting to set a new record today because I have more optimized charms. Basically all the heroes are on the good charms, and I'll show you, I'll try to remember to show you the charms of the heroes on this after this, but Hodgkin is on the blast charms, Carolina on the arcane charms and they're refined, CC on the gale charms and refined, Team 1 Talien on the blast charms and refined, Bonnie is on the sorcery charms. So there are two options: either you go for sorcery charms or balance charms, because as you saw, like Bonnie didn't have a difficulty surviving. She could have survived the whole fight, and so she doesn't need, for example, like the tankiness from insight charms, for example. Balance charms give attack, sorcery charms increase her ultimate and skill power, so I don't know which one is actually better. I think both are good options. Okay, 8 seconds left. We need 50 billion to set a new record here. Can we get 50 billion? 40. I think we got a new record, right? That should be exactly around about, yeah, 118 billion. Okay, not bad. I mean, I'll take it. What I'm thinking is, let's go for, rather than Nero, let's try Bonnie here. I don't know if this is gonna work, but let's try it. Like, I would think that this would be a really good option, right? And just forget about the Nero, because wait, does Nero only has attack charm, and we're not even using his charms. Like, I would think in every way this team should work. Team number 1, like, it should be better than the other options, but maybe the survival comes into question or something. Like, that's the only thing I can think. And the other thing about Viperian is I really don't know what charms are good for him. Like, last rotation I ran insight charms, now I have balance charms for him because people recommended that. They also recommend the sorcery charms. So it can be any basically of these three, they all do really well. Okay, now because the reason I think why this could be good is that you have 3 magical damages, Bonnie, Viperian, and Thalassa, so they're all getting the advantage of like the Supreme Plus of Bonnie, and you just have as much damage as possible, no one is really dying, so I should think that this would be better than, for example, running Nero here who doesn't really do anything, because Nero is only value if he needs to resurrect your ally, right? I would think, but maybe it is related to like, you end up dealing too much damage to the boss and she ramps up too fast. Yeah, because we're not getting a better score with this team. It ends up being lower, even though I would think that it should just be higher because you have more damage dealers here rather than the Nero. Okay. And yeah, Thalassa ends up dealing less damage. Okay guys, another thing I want to try is we're going to try this setup. Basically, I want to go for Arcane Spell team number 1, forget about the frontline spell, still run the Scarlita, and let's see what happens here. And we can just skip from now on because like we've watched the runs enough times. I just want to see if any of these can get a good combo. 114 billion, that is not good enough. Okay, we'll try Bonnie in team number 2. So this is one team you can use for team number 1. Which, this got basically my 117 and a bit billion damage. And now we'll replace Hodgkin and do Bonnie. Now for this, we're going to have to, I'll cut it and skip until we see the Bonnie fight. Okay guys, so we have Bonnie. Let's see how this fight goes and see whether she can survive. The team number 1 only did a bit over 64 billion. Yeah, I think pretty much for this account, I think the limit is going to be around 100 and like the 118 that we got on the first attempt. That's kind of like the limit, I think. But it's kind of crazy because it's only like honestly like 1 billion damage higher than my previous record that I showed you at the beginning of this video from last rotation, and that was not using Bonnie, that was using Viperian. And then a lot of it will come down to RNG as well. So basically, okay, well, Bonnie is surviving pretty well, but now she's probably going to die. As long as Carolina and Cecia survive, it will be fine, but no. Carolina goes down, that is not good. And already, this is not looking like a good score, because like we saw, we got up to 40, we almost got 50 billion with the Hodgkin team, and so Bonnie is not going to work in team number 2. Yeah, so as of right now, Bonnie is not really working team number 2. She kind of has to be in team number 1 if you want to run her, and the best team formation has been this one, 118 billion, but we got 118 billion flat. And when you take a look at like my last week's scores, where we got the 117 billion, we won't be able to see it anymore, but I think it was 117.5 or so billion, or 117.6, and it was actually running without the frontline spell, with the Scarlita team combo, and then running the Viperian. But this new team is a slight upgrade compared to that. However, it is like we have a higher refinement, for example, onto Cecia charms compared to then. I've also swapped the Scarlita charms to sorcery, which are considered to be better. So yeah, guys, I mean, basically, as of right now, Bonnie is fine in Ravaged Realm, but I mean, you do not need her because Viperian is almost just as good, if not better. Now what I want to do is I want to keep running this team formation that we have, and I want to see whether we can set a new record with it, because it did get our record on the first attempt. Let's skip it a few times and see whether we can get even higher, but I think we probably hit around the limit. 68 billion on team number 1 is crazy. Yeah, and we would have to get like 70 billion on it if we would want to get a new record. 116 billion. I have seen people get 120 billion, for example, even with the previous team, without Bonnie, like the Viperian team. And there are a bunch of different formations. There's a lot of RNG involved in them as well. But so you can stick to any one of the top formations that we've covered before, and you should be able to get a pretty good score. Okay guys, so that is basically going to cut it. And if you want to know like another good team formation that you can try, it is going to be just the old standard team with, for example, Nero. This is one of the top performing teams. Arcane Spell on team number 1, and team number 2 is going to be this one. And like I mentioned to you, Splash has hit 119 billion with this like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. People have even hit 120 billion with similar type teams, and so this is a great team that you can run. It will depend on RNG to get a top score. However, it is still considered a great team. Now, as for the charms, I don't know, like, when I got my record from last week, it was running Insight charms on Viperian rather than the Balance charms, so maybe those are better. The other heroes, the charms don't really matter on Team 1. Of course, Talion on Blast Charms and Insight on Ludovic, but we already covered that. And then the team number 2 was the same as we have that we're running right now. So that is going to be pretty much it. But for this team number 1, I ran it with Scarlita rather than the Nero. So that could also be a factor that comes into play. But anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you got a good look at Bonnie and like her potential for Ravaged Realm. If there are any other crazy teams that come out using her, I'll keep you guys updated about it. But as of right now, it might be some just minor upgrade compared to Viperian, or really Viperian is almost just as good. And other people have hit 118 billion with Viperian, even like a Supreme Plus, or I don't know about Supreme Plus, but like not at, for example, Paragon 4 level. And so that is just going to be a good team to run as well. You don't need to have Bonnie. She's not necessarily amazing for this. She's mainly good for AFK stages and PvP. But thanks for watching, guys. That is going to be it for this video. I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now.